welcome to StoneMagpie. My name is Suzanne and today we're going to be working on Supernova from Dreamer Designs, which I unboxed a little while ago now. And it's a very special video today because we are, well, there was a clue there, we are in Whitby. Look at the view we've got from the window. No, not that view. Can we see there? Look how special that view is. And if you've been following the story on Instagram, you will know that I have a lovely friend today. So let me introduce you to Anthea.
Hello!
So Anthea is over all the way from Australia and we've come to Whitby for the week and we're going to be diamond painting together for the first time. Yay! We're really excited. Okay, so I've brought some bits and bobs. I've got my diamond painting bits and bobs with toolkits and cover minders, trays, different waxes, because Anthea and I work slightly differently. So I've got all sorts of things in here. This is my favourite diamond painting pen, which has Abby's putty in, which is my favourite choice to use at the moment. I have brought this one. Now with that, do you want to have a feel and see if you like that one?
Yes, that's very
chunky
nice.
enough?
Yep, that will work well. Thank you.
And that was the one from Says Pleur à Tour,
Very nice.
French. That's my spring, the one I did for Spring Stream.
Okay.
If you remember
Yes.
that from so long ago. Anthea has been watching the channel a very long time and I'm very privileged to have her over here.
Oh.
So we've got cover minders, we've got trays. I've brought the Dreamer Designs wax and also a Diamond Art Club toolkit because you like the Diamond Art kits, don't you?
Yeah, well, I prefer an opaque tray, so if...
So you prefer the white?
The white, yes.
Great, because I prefer the translucent. It's working well so far. No fights going on. Right, do you want the Dreamer Designs wax or the Diamond Art Club?
I'll try this. I haven't tried this
okay.
before, I don't think.
Oh, well, if you've not tried before, let's test it.
Let's.
Right, so I'm not sure if we'll need a cover minder. We'll see how that goes. And another thing to say is Anthea is a single placer. She doesn't like multi-placing. And I love multi-placing. And so we're going to be working in slightly different ways on the canvas.
Rookie error, take the plastic off before you try to load your pen.
Anthea, how long have you been diamond painting for?
About 5 years.
Although you've never used Dreamer Designs wax, so, you know.
I'm nervous. I've never been on camera before. Well, kind of.
Don't be nervous, we're all friends here.
No.
While Anthea sorts that out, I'll say, please do subscribe. It's always appreciated and we always have fun on the channel doing different things and this is very different.
Yep.
Oh, so excited. We've been waiting for this for a long time, haven't we?
Yes, we have wax.
We have wax. And as I say, because Anthea's a single placer, she won't need to fill the multi-placed end. So, no problem. Are you sorted? Do you use a stopper?
No.
No. Should we chuck that over in here? Right, and if you want to change your wax or your diamond pen or whatever, just give us a yell and we'll change it. So we're going to fold back the protective cover on this amazing canvas. So excited to be starting this one. And I have got the diamonds that I kitted up in a video previously. So they are all ready to go. Now, I'm just trying to remember. I think I did it by... Did I do it by symbol? Oh my God, I can't remember. I
Yes,
usually
you
do
have
by
A,
symbol.
B, C, F, G, H, H, J. So
Oh,
this
yes.
is by symbol.
Yes, I have. Are you okay with by symbol? Well, you're going to have to be because
Well,
I've done
yeah.
it that way.
And we have not had any wine yet.
No,
Yes.
we haven't. We're just naturally silly. So, so Anthea, where are you going to start?
In the moon.
In the moon. Anthea's going to the moon. I usually start on a canvas top right, but today, because we're both working on the same canvas, I'm just going to randomly start. And I think I'm going to do the outline of the cloud and then maybe work here.
Okay.
So that is a lot of moon to single place. Interesting. Right, so I think I need the
Ooh,
3 tens. Have you spilled?
Only one or two.
We're going to have to hoover the cottage then, aren't we? For our-
Yes. Yeah.
our holiday cottage.
Oh, we might have a bit of a static situation here, I think.
Oh, no. So Anthea is breathing on the tray. Why do you breathe on the tray for static?
Because it stops it.
Does it?
Well, it does if it's in the bag. It doesn't seem to have helped on the tray.
No. Okay, so I wonder if it's the tray or the diamonds that are static, because I'm not having a static problem with my 3 tens, although I am a little bit. They are
Yeah.
clumping a bit.
Okay. That's
And
right.
we haven't brought any dryer sheets.
Honestly, what are you like?
Okay, so I would say that the Dreamer Designs drills, unfortunately, are a little bit clumpy in this case. We'll see how we get on, but it might have to be that we put them in the freezer. So we can do the
could do
video
that.
today, and then
Yep.
we've got a freezer in the holiday place. We could do that.
Yes. So are we going to place
We're
first
going to-
drills together?
Yeah. Now, I also want to show what Anthea is using, because I don't use one of these. Anthea, do you want to explain?
Yes. So at home, I have a light with a magnifier that I use, and I was a bit concerned, rightly so, that I wouldn't be able to see properly without it. So Mama Magpie, who I met a week ago, I think a week, last weekend,
Thereabouts, yeah.
has lent me this fantastic sheet, like magnifying sheet, that I can hold over. Hopefully that shows up on camera. It magnifies the symbols, so I'm using that today to see so that Suzanne does not have to take off all of my badly placed drills.
And I will check with Mama Magpie, my mum, where she bought that magnifying sheet from, because I've not seen one before. So if you're interested in that, if I can find out from her, I will link it in the description box below for you so that you know where that came from. Okay, let me get my first little clump. Yeah, my putty is still working.
1, 2, 3.
And we're off. So welcome to the WIP and Chat today. I am going to be asking Anthea all about her travels so far, because you've been in the UK for...
Since the 12th of September, which is, I believe, 2, 3, 4, must be 4 weeks now.
Okay, so when the video comes out, it'll probably be slightly longer. And I'm going to ask you to tell us all about why you came over here, because, you know, it wasn't just to see me.
Oh, it was. It was all about you.
What were you planning when you came over here? Where have you been? What have you seen? So, yeah, tell us all about it. So, first of all, when did you start planning your trip to the UK?
So I've wanted to come for years. I was starting to plan back in 2019, and then the world came to a grinding halt. Mm-hmm. So I booked this trip in March this year, and I have been to Scotland. So I landed in Scotland and did a very fast whistle-stop tour there.
So you landed in Glasgow.
Yes.
And then after such a long flight, because whilst Anthea was flying, I was at work, and when I went into the next day, I thought, yep, she's still flying. Yep, she's still not here, and it felt like a very long time. So how long were you actually travelling for over here?
I think the full door-to-door travel I worked out was about 34 hours. So the first flight Melbourne to Dubai was 13 and a half, and then the second flight Dubai to Glasgow was nearly 8. And then I caught a bus from Glasgow Airport into the city to the train station, and then a train to Edinburgh, and then a tram from the train station out to my hotel.
Wow.
So it was a, yeah, Australia is fantastic, but we are a long way from anywhere, so it does make travel an interesting prospect.
And the reason that you were going to Edinburgh, not just because you wanted to see Edinburgh, was because...
Well, that's where I was joining my tour.
Yeah, so you'd booked a bus tour.
Yes, it was a very fast tour, but it was a good way to see, like, little highlights of everywhere in a short space of time. Didn't give us long enough anywhere, but we did see Edinburgh and the Highlands. We popped onto the Isle of Skye and popped back off again.
You have to tell that story, that's hilarious.
We were supposed to go to the Isle of Skye and go into, I think, a village and have like an hour and a half there, but the tour director and coach driver decided that rather than wasting our time on Skye, we would go somewhere else to do some souvenir shopping and take photos with Highland coos or cows. So we drove over the bridge onto the Isle of Skye and did a left turn and parked in a car park, and we all had a shot of whiskey.
Yeah, there was a lot of whiskey involved on that tour.
Only in sauce. It's not quite the same.
Okay.
And then we had a shot of Iron Brew, which is a Scottish soft drink. I passed on that one because I don't drink soft drink. And we had a biscuit, and then we got back on the bus and we left the car park and we went back over the bridge, and that was the Isle of Skye.
I can't believe they took you over the bridge into a car park and then just left.
Yes, I was a little disappointed with that because I did want to see the Isle of Skye, but lots of other people were pleased because we then were able to stop further down the road and take photos of cows. So everybody's different.
Yeah.
And the trip finished in Glasgow. I had a full spare day there, and then I picked up a hire car and I drove south from Scotland from Glasgow to Gretna Green, which is just over the Scottish border from England. Then
And that's where people elope to get married if they're... I think
they used to.
They used to, because you could get married younger without your parents' permission at Gretna Green. So...
Yes. And there's still marriages done there now, so I saw 2 different couples having their photos taken after they'd been married, and I was only there for an hour or so. Then I drove into Carlisle, and I had 2 nights staying there. Much going on in Carlisle? Well, I didn't stay in Carlisle. Well, I mean, I stayed in Carlisle. I didn't spend any time there, so by the time I drove in, I was a bit done, being nervous about driving. We drive on the same side of the road in Australia, but just being in a renter car and on different roads with different rules and speed limits and signage, I was a bit...
I did get a few texts, didn't I, saying, what's the speed limit in the UK?
Yes. Well, it's not... There's no signs. If you live in Australia, you know we have signs everywhere telling us to do everything. Don't do this, go this speed, go that speed, don't go there, do go there. And there's no signs over here at all. They just assume that everybody has the intelligence to know what to do. And
Well, they
most
presume that
people
we've
do it.
all remembered the highway code. That is an important part of our driving test. And I wouldn't say there's no signs anywhere. There are signs sometimes.
Yeah, well,
So I'm going to stick up for the good old UK here. But yes, and also, bizarrely, the cars have the windscreen wipers on the opposite side
oh,
of
yes.
the controls.
But that's because my own personal car, I drive a Toyota, so it's Japanese made, which means the indicators are on the right-hand side of the steering wheel. The windscreen wipers are on the left.
Mm-hmm.
And the rent-a-car that I have is a Vauxhall, I think.
Yeah.
So it's European, and the indicators are on the left. So for my first 3 or 4 days, every time I tried to indicate, I put the wipers on. Oh, it's dreadful. And then I finally managed to get myself sorted, and I was using the indicator, and then it started raining, and instead of putting in the wipers, I kept indicating everywhere. But I've sorted all that now. It's only taken nearly 5 weeks. So the first day that I was at Carlisle, the first full day I had, I actually drove out to a section of Hadrian's Wall and walked along the wall to the tree at Sycamore Gap.
The tree.
The tree, which unbelievably was cut down less than a week later.
It's just,
I can't believe.
no. To be one of the last people to be photographed with that glorious tree. I'm so pleased that you went there when you did.
I couldn't believe I was sitting watching the news. So I was there, I think on the Thursday, and it was cut down the Friday of the next week, and I heard it on the news, and I just sat in my motel room and cried because it was a huge, beautiful tree. It was hundreds of years old, and it's just been cut down for
Who knows why?
who knows why.
Yeah, it was 300 years old, that tree. You've probably seen it on the news because I think it did become international news. They did try and arrest a couple of people, but I don't think, at the time of recording, I don't think the mystery has been solved as to who did it and for what reason. But yeah, that was quite a shock, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But what happened at Sycamore Gap? That was quite amazing.
Well, I met a lady there who, when I got, hang on, I'm stuck. Just 1 second.
Oh, you put the tray on.
Oh
Go on, pull.
Stuck.
I'm holding it.
Help.
You off?
The
Let me get you a
adhesive on these canvases is very good.
Let me get you a release paper and then you can
That
pop
would
your
be a
tray
good
on.
idea.
There you go.
Thank you. Are they on straight enough for you?
Oh my goodness, they are rather lovely. I've got to match up my multi-placing with your really lovely single placing now. Anyway, yeah. So at Sycamore Gap,
Yes. I came down there's quite a steep stairway that you come down towards where the tree was. And I had seen a lady going down the stairs before me. So when we got down to the bottom, I asked her if she wanted me to take a photo of her with the tree, and she said no, but she took a photo of me. And then I mentioned to her that I had heard that if you walked past the tree and looked back, you got a very good photo sort of opportunity. So we did that together, and then we walked on a bit further, and fortunately when we walked back to the tree, she changed her mind and did have a photo taken.
oh good.
And anyway, we got chatting, so we ended up driving back across together to nearby centre where we could have some lunch, and we had lunch together, and it was a really nice, just a really nice day.
Yeah.
Oh, and she lives in England, in the south of England.
Yeah, so she's on holiday as well.
And she was on holiday as well, and I was going further south down into Cumbria, and she was heading across to the east coast. So we said, thank you very much. It's been a fantastic day. Enjoy the rest of your life. And I don't know, we just didn't think about exchanging numbers. And then 2 weeks later, when I'd been through Cumbria and the Lakes District, stayed at Windermere and was at Fountains Abbey in Yorkshire, walking down the path towards me was a lady, and I thought, I know her. It was the same lady that I met at Sycamore Gap, and she was in Yorkshire for the same week, so we've met up again.
Absolutely amazing. That is just because Fountains Abbey is in the middle of nowhere, really, and she wasn't staying anywhere near. It's just incredible that you bumped into each other again. It's obviously just meant to be. There's a reason why that happened. And now you've swapped numbers, haven't you?
We have, yes, and we spent, so that was on a Monday that we saw each other at Fountains Abbey. So on the Tuesday we met up at Harewood House and went through the house and the church and the gardens, which was stunning. And then on Friday, no.
Have you lost track of days?
Yeah, I've got no idea what today is. When I came back, because I had a few nights at York before I popped back to pick up Suzanne before we came up to Whitby. So on that day, Michelle was travelling back south to her home. So the three of us all met up and had a cup of coffee, which was very nice. Yeah,
at the service station on the motorway.
Yeah.
So it was nice to meet her, though, after hearing about it. It was, we all got on really well, considering that's 3 people, all live in different parts of, the world, not just the UK, coming together and enjoying a cup of coffee in each other's company. It is amazing, really good.
Yeah.
Now, so when you were at Sycamore Gap, you then went to, because you've had some amazing adventures on the way.
Yes. So while I was at Sycamore Gap, I went to Vindolanda, which is the archaeological dig of a Roman fort.
Oops, sorry. I'm just trying to get this little bit in this corner so I don't mean to push you out of the way.
Well, I'll go the other way.
We did talk about this before, saying what the plan was, but anyway,
You're just making it up as you go along.
I'm just taking over. And Vindolanda is a place that I've heard of, never been to, but I used to book the children's school trips to Vindolanda when I worked as a school secretary. So I've heard of the place, never been, and so Anthea's come all this way and going to these places that are really on my doorstep. So there we are, putting me to shame a little bit there. So did you enjoy Vindolanda?
Yeah, wow, yes. I can't believe they found at one point because there's been, obviously it's a Roman fort, so it's been occupied and then left and then rebuilt and so forth, and they found the remains of a bonfire, and when one particular battalion left the fort, they'd been called away. Rather than carry all the documents and things with them, they decided to burn them. But the fire went out before everything burnt, and they found a number of very finely cut, thin pieces of wood that they'd used as writing tablets, and one of them is a birthday invitation.
Oh.
It was for the commander's wife, I think, asking somebody to come to her birthday party.
Oh.
So it's
was they having jelly?
I don't know. Whatever they had in, like we're talking BC, we're talking 2,000-year-old birthday invitation.
Probably not then.
I still can't
Probably
wrap
just
my head
bread.
around that.
Sorry, I am getting out of your way in a minute. I know, I'm just doing these.
I'm working up here now. I can't work and talk at the same time. This is all...
Oh, I see.
It's all very new.
Yeah.
And quite nerve-wracking.
Is it?
Yes.
We're all friends. I'm just talking to some friends.
Thousands of millions of people watching and listening to me talk about not
Your travels.
anything very much.
So, where else have you been then after Vindolanda?
So I left Carlisle and drove further south into Cumbria, and I stayed at a gorgeous little guest house in the Eskdale Valley, which is one of the last strongholds of the red squirrel, because the grey squirrel was introduced from America and it carries squirrel pox and is immune to squirrel pox, whereas the red squirrels are susceptible to squirrel pox. So that, and the fact that it is very, it's larger and more aggressive, the red squirrels are on decline, which is really sad. And this guest house actually has them living in the woods around the house, and they come into the garden. So from my bedroom window, I was actually able to take photos of and watch these squirrels.
Oh, in fact, I might get you to send me a picture so I can pop it on the video so that we can see.
I can do that.
Yeah, that would be lovely. I don't think I've ever seen a red squirrel in real life.
They are so cute.
Yeah, and it reminded you of books that you read as a child, didn't it, The Red Squirrel?
Yes. Yeah, and just,
Well, squirrels in general. Every time we see a squirrel, Anthea's squirrel!
Well, we don't have them in Australia, and they're just so cute.
In fact, we did see one in a bin, didn't we?
We did see one in a bin.
Which is another story about some amazing experience we've had, which we will go back to, but we did actually see a squirrel perched on the edge of a litter bin as we were trying to get rid of some litter. It was so cute. Should have taken a picture, actually. Yeah, that was a funny one.
Yes, that was. Yeah, so I had a few nights. I had 3 nights at that guest house, and I wandered the fells, as they call the hills of the Lakes District. Watched red squirrels. I saw some deer. And then I spent a day, I drove to Muncaster Castle, which is nearby, and spent the day going through the house that has been in the same family for 900 years. 900 years. I just can't. It's just not comprehensible. So that was fantastic, and they have an owlery there, so I watched the display of the owls being flown and wandered around the gardens and just enjoyed myself there.
Mm-hmm.
I went on the tiny little Eskdale Valley steam rail. It's like a miniature sort of, it's not a tiny miniature railway, but it's only 15 inch gauge. So it's this, when you sit in the carriage, you've got maybe 2 inches between your head and the roof of the little carriage. It's very cute.
Yeah, I don't think you'd fit on the real, like the model railways.
Well, no. No, but it's not like one of the ones for the kids where you perch on the top of it. And that's just the most beautiful place in the world. It's such a, it's just, yeah, I really enjoyed my time there. So then I left there and headed to Windermere in the Lakes District.
Yeah.
Personally, I would say I was slightly disappointed with Windermere itself. Too many people.
It does get busy.
And just, yeah, I think if you don't know the places to go, you could sort of be, one street across from a fantastic group of shops and restaurants, and you don't know it. So, yeah, I really expected to love Windermere, and I didn't quite so much.
Mm-hmm.
But I had two amazing experiences while I was there. I had booked in to do a walk with wolves, which was literally walking wolves
Yeah.
on lead. Just amazing. And then we went into their enclosure and they were off lead, and you got to feed them while they sort of stood around you and took treats off you. And I can't, wow. That was one of the best things I'd ever done in my life.
Yeah, because you have a real affinity with wolves, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And they were only young, so you were able to pat them and didn't have to worry about being seen as a threat or a challenge to them. So you just, I mean, I rubbed the belly of a wolf.
I mean, you did send me a picture and they did look huge, but you were just like, oh no, these are only young. I thought they might be bigger than this, but they did look massive.
Well, they were 45 kilos, but they were not anywhere near as big as the adults. I was a bit surprised that they weren't larger, but they're still very, very definitely wolves. They're not. There's a very big difference between a wolf and a dog. The way they move, the way they look, everything about them is, oh, wow. So yeah, that was an amazing hour, just in the pouring rain, unfortunately. But still, absolutely worth it. Then I also drove from Windermere across to Settle, which is further east towards the sort of centre of England, or the centre of the north, I guess you would say, the following day, and I did a hawk walk, which was brilliant. Got to go for a walk for an hour with a Harris hawk.
Now, yeah, I think I have to explain this because the Harris hawk wouldn't have been walking, would it?
No, well, it was flying, so I had the falconer's glove on, and it would lift off and fly. If it flew to the ground, didn't get a reward, but if it flew onto a high rock or up onto a tree, then the falconers would put a small amount of chicken, whatever, onto my hawk glove, and then it would fly back and land on the glove and eat that, and then take off again.
And what was the name of the hawk?
Michael.
That's so funny. So random. Like Michael the hawk.
Michael was magnificent. And that was a brilliant thing to do. That was really special. I had originally organised a longer experience that involved more birds, but the weather forecast was not conducive, so we had to cut it down to the single hour, which was a shame, but that's
It did give
what
you
happens.
opportunity to do things that you had put on, you had sort of looked at and disregarded because of the walk, so you were able to do that instead, weren't you?
Yeah, I did a steam train ride from Lakeside, Windermere, just a little short one. I think it was about 20 minutes out and back. And then I did a cruise on the lake, so that filled in that afternoon very nicely.
Yeah, and then what next?
Then I drove to Harrogate and booked into a very lovely guest house there.
Yeah.
And what did I do that night?
Well, that's the night we've met for the first time, face to face. We have Skyped before, and so I went round to the guest house, and Anthea risked getting into the car with me driving. We drove a little bit round Harrogate, found a nice restaurant, and had a lovely pasta.
Yum, yum, yum.
Yeah, so that was the first night that we met, and it just felt so natural, says me. I don't know how Anthea felt, but I felt like it was just natural, like we had always known each other. And I just find it so incredible that we connected through YouTube channel and all of this has happened. I think it's quite unbelievable, really. So, yeah, if you're out there and you're thinking, gosh, am I the only diamond painter around? You're certainly not, and you can actually make friends through social media. So, put yourself out there, don't be too shy, get yourself out there and see well, like the connection with Michelle as well, that you found at Sycamore Gap, you just don't know when these people will come into your life and make a difference.
Yes.
And you have made a big difference to me, so thank you so much. I really do appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.
So, right, so she came to Harrogate and stayed a few days. I was working, boo, while Anthea was off having some fun during the week. And where did you go without me?
No, well, we haven't done the Saturday, Sunday when we were together.
Oh, yes, we did.
Which you
that's
can
right.
talk about, because
Okay.
I've been doing a lot of talking.
Okay, I shall. And then you can diamond paint because you won't be talking. So yes, that was the Friday that we met for the first time, and then on the Saturday I'd arranged to go and pick Anthea up, and we were going to discover a small town nearby called Knaresborough that has an amazing railway bridge and a really famous view. So we went into Knaresborough. We did fiddle about on the car park for about half an hour trying to get the car park ticket because we couldn't work the machine. So we were in stitches then. You know, that was quite funny, wasn't it? But we worked it out eventually and managed to pay for the car park, got into Knaresborough and had a stroll around. And we went to Knaresborough Castle and Knaresborough Museum, and although I do live nearby, I have never done that. So again, a new experience for me to discover local places. And then we went back to the car. Did we have lunch in Knaresborough? I can't remember. Oh yes, we had a bite to eat. It was like a
snack. Cake.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Cake.
I had tea cake.
Oh, I had a scone. Yum.
Yeah, with cream. And
Did I have cream there, or did I just have butter there?
no, I think I had cream.
Did I? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, there's been a few scones with cream that's been eaten.
Yeah. Such a telltale, aren't I?
Yeah.
And then we got back to the car and we drove down the lovely road, which I always go on about. So hopefully you've heard about it, but it's the way that I drive to work. And so Anthea has been down the lovely road with me, driving.
And it is lovely. The road, not the driving.
Yeah, I think Anthea could tell
Right
when
back
I
at
was more comfortable. Yeah, as soon as we got out of the town, I was a lot more comfortable driving. So I pointed out a few. It was a bit misty, a bit miserable weather, wasn't it? So you couldn't see all of the views, unfortunately, but we can't help that. In the UK, it is a little bit mixed. So we drove down there and, oh yes, I did show Anthea where I worked. So we parked up outside. It was closed, but Anthea has now seen the grey box where I work.
Yes.
And we went on to Mama Magpie's house. So Anthea met Mama Magpie and Dave, who is now officially Daddy Magpie.
And I can attest that Mama Magpie is every bit as lovely as she seems in the videos.
Oh.
Beautiful, beautiful lady.
Oh, she'll love that. Thank you, Anthea. And we had a little bite to eat there. I'd said to Mum, don't cater, because my mum is a feeder. She likes to feed everybody, and you know, there's food after food after food. So I said, Mum, cake is fine. Anyway, so we got there and she'd made us some little rolls with ham. So it's like, okay, well, it wasn't...
Ham and salad rolls, yes.
Yeah.
Yummy.
And cake.
Yeah, chocolate cake, oh yum.
Well, she'd done
cake.
scones, chocolate cake and lemon cake. So we had a bite to eat, and then I think she'd offered crisps and what else? She offered us so much.
Cheese as well.
Cheese. And you went into the garden, saw her garden and her painting studio, saw her paintings. So she was, having a whale of a time showing Anthea all her crafting. And then we went to Spa Gardens, where there is an old tree that has, what's the word for it? Coppiced. Yes. So there's various different tree trunks coming out, and what they'd done is they'd sculpted this tree into an Alice in Wonderland design. I will put the photo on. If you haven't seen it on Instagram, I will put it on the video so you can see that, because it's like a carved I can't say it.
So each
tree.
of the individual trunks that come out of the base have all had a character from Alice in Wonderland carved into the ends of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's quite amazing.
Yeah. So we did that little walk, and then we went back, and I think at that point we went, didn't we? I think that was it for the day.
Yes, I think that was.
Did we?
Yes.
Did we have? Oh no, I know, because I took you to the shop and we got a sandwich for you so that you could have your sandwich.
That's right.
That's
Yes.
right. Okay. And then we arranged to meet the next day. Yes, she agreed to meet me yet again. And oh yeah, that's right. We went on the bus to Leeds. Oh no, first of all, Anthea came round in the morning and we took Monty for a walk around where I live to see the bumble tree and over the fields with all of the different styles. So we did that in the morning, went back to my house, and did we have more cake? I think I made you a sandwich.
Yes, I had a cheese sandwich and cake.
Yeah, cake features a lot.
Yes.
And then we went to the bus stop and caught the bus to Leeds. So that's the number 36 that goes through all of the different areas in Leeds, and we passed Highwood House.
We did.
I've talked about that bus trip before in a video. I can't remember which video. I've done the same as what you've done now and stuff. There we are.
Would you like a release paper?
I think I might. And when we got to Leeds, we met up with my son Ben, and my husband had driven to Leeds, so he was also there in the lovely bar where it's quite a shabby bar, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's got games and things like that, and it's quite relaxed, and because it's shabby, you're not on, it doesn't really matter, you don't have to get dressed up and things like that. It's quite relaxing. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I didn't think it was shabby.
Did you not?
Casual.
Okay. And that's the one with the hairdressers attached to the side.
Which unfortunately wasn't open, so we couldn't go and have after drinks haircuts.
No.
Which I think are possibly a bad idea anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So, oh yeah, and I had Ben, my son, wanted a Bloody Mary. And so he convinced me, because it was 2 for 1, to have this drink. Oh my God, it was so strong. My eyes watered, and Anthea was, I think the face, she was just like, oh my God.
Because it had Tabasco sauce in it, it was very spicy, so it was sort of like drinking hot chili, I think. It's quite amusing. And then,
every time I took a sip, it's like, oh.
But then the more she sipped, the less it bothered her. And towards the end, it didn't bother her at all.
Yeah, I did actually manage to finish it, funnily enough. While we had a marathon game of Monopoly. Now, what I've realised is that Anthea and Ben are very similar in their competitiveness of Monopoly. I didn't stand a chance. I was first out, but I think that might have been something to do with the Bloody Mary, to be honest. So I was quite happy to sit and watch and gaze into the distance. So, yeah, I don't know how long we were playing that for.
It was a very long game.
Was it? Well, I think in the end you called a truce, didn't you?
Yes. Well, we knocked you out, and then we knocked Nick out, and then it was a case that we would have both been sitting there for a while, quite a long while, I think, waiting until one of us didn't have any more money, so we called it a truce and said that we came to a draw.
Yeah, which I have to say I think was quite gallant of Ben, because he's not normally like that. He would normally play to the death and insist.
Well, that's all right. I normally would have too.
Yeah, well, there we are. So, and then we went in the car home, didn't we, with Nick,
Yes.
rather than getting the bus after that.
Yeah.
So that was that day. And
Yes.
then I was at work.
Yes.
Back to work. Boo!
I wasn't.
No. So you can carry on now with what you did during that week.
Yeah, so Monday was Fountains Abbey, which was brilliant. It's a beautiful place, and I was lucky enough they do a volunteer guided tour. It's free at 11:30 of both the Abbey and the nearby gardens that were built, their water gardens. And I was the only person that turned up for it, so that was an hour and a half of a private guided tour. And then I had some lunch, and that was not long after that I ran into Michelle. Mm-hmm. So that was
And you managed to
long
swap
day.
numbers.
Yes, we
So
did
that
actually
was
swap,
good.
swap numbers, and we arranged to go to Harewood House. So that was Tuesday. That was a huge day. And Harewood House, for anybody who is local or thinking of coming to this part of England, is just amazing. Beautiful house, gorgeous gardens. And there's a church in the grounds that has a group of alabaster stone effigies over tombs, and because they're not in a monastery, they're amongst the best examples in England because they've stayed intact. They weren't sort of pillaged or destroyed during the dissolution of the abbeys by Henry VIII. So, and the carving and the detail in those is just...
You haven't shown me the pictures for that yet, so we must have a look after.
Yes, well, I'll show you those and maybe put a couple in to
Perfect.
see. Oh,
Sorry.
honestly.
Right, I'm going to do these bits of A's.
Well, I'll just change colours.
Yeah, so that was Monday.
Yeah, no, that was Tuesday.
Oh, that was
Harewood
Tuesday.
House.
So
Yes.
did I see you Monday night? I can't remember. I
Yes,
think I
Monday
left
night
on-
we had takeaway.
Oh gosh, are we talking about that?
No, I don't think we should.
We did get ourselves in a little bit of an awkward situation, but it was we were taking a takeaway back to the guest house where Anthea was staying, and it was just a little bit awkward because we'd asked for plates and they weren't ready, and we just sort of stood in the hallway quite awkwardly, didn't we? And then we were just felt really, yeah. But we got it sorted, and we had our takeaway in the breakfast room, and yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was.
Yes.
If you've ever felt awkward and then you've sat eating with a friend, but not in your own house, you probably imagine how it felt. And then we were like, "What do we do with the plates?" And but the chaps that run the guest house were so lovely on Wednesday, because I had the day off, and go on, you carry on.
We went to see polar bears.
We went to actually meet the polar bears. Now, because Anthea was leaving the guest house before breakfast time, they'd offered to make us a breakfast, me as well, and I wasn't even staying there. So kind. And oh my goodness, the breakfast that they gave us, we had 2 big glasses of fruit juice each. We each had a flask because Anthea doesn't drink tea. Don't know how she's a friend of mine. And
Suzanne doesn't very often drink coffee, and I don't know how she is a friend of mine.
so we each had a small flask of our chosen beverage. Then I had a sausage sandwich with ketchup. And you had?
A sausage sandwich with a fresh tomato and seeded mustard. Yummy, yummy.
And fruit they gave us.
Yes, they did.
And I'm sure there was something else.
No.
No, that was it. Oh,
Yep.
okay. That was it.
That was all. We only got a sandwich and juice and fruit and a hot drink.
So that was really lovely of them to do. So as we drove to Yorkshire Wildlife Park, which before Anthea did her research on what she wanted to see over here, I hadn't even heard of. So I've been completely educated in my own county with Anthea coming over. And we ate it in the car park, didn't we? And I was thinking, is it such a good idea to be having sausage sandwiches just before meeting polar bears?
But it turns out polar bears like carrot, apple and pears and lettuce, which I did not know.
You know, so we were let into the park early, weren't we? We were let in before it opened to get to the polar bears for 9:30. Yeah, it was quite an early start. But wow, it was worth it.
Yes.
And because we were early, some of the animals, like the leopard, was out. And we were walking sort of behind the scenes, as it were. And so we saw a tiger, a female tiger really close up.
Yes.
What else did we see behind the scenes? We saw, the cheetah was sat on the top of the hill.
Yes. Yes, we went past the cheetah.
We saw loads on the way just to get to the polar bears. It was just incredible because we were VIPs.
Yes, we were.
So we got to the polar bear enclosure, and Anthea, you can continue.
No, well, this is we will both be talking about this. So they do have 2 polar bear enclosures, one for the females and then the one for the males is sort of at the other end of the park. So we went to the females first and met the keeper, who was absolutely lovely.
Georgia.
And we had our little briefing, and then we went...
Basically, don't put your fingers through the cage.
Yes. Don't put your fingers in the cage because they will think they're food. But we were actually able to put the backs of our hands up to the cage so that they could sniff us.
Oh, amazing.
Which is just wow. So we went into they call it the bear house, which is basically the inside enclosure area where the bears can go that is sheltered, and where they do training for things like vet checks and being able to look at their teeth and check their feet and take blood if they need to do tests like that. And we had the 2 females there, and we were feeding them the fruit out of the bucket with a pair of tongs. So there was polar bears, there was a steel fence, and there was us.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. To feel a polar bear's breath on your hand is the most magical, and being able to look them in the eye.
Yep.
It was incredible.
Yes. So after we'd fed them fruit for a while, I still find that a bit strange, but because polar bears in the wild have a very high fat content in their diet, and being that they mainly eat seals, they have to supplement their diet in captivity, so they have cod liver oil, which they eat or drink, suck out of sauce bottles, sort of like the plastic squeezy sauce bottles that you find in restaurants, or mainly in restaurants.
Like ketchup, ketchup squeezy bottles that you can decant into, yeah.
Yeah, so we fed the polar bears, bottle-fed the polar bears. And that was, so you were really even closer because you were holding the bottle that the nozzle was through the cage, and they were slurping away on it, and you ended up with polar bear slobber all over your fingers, which is not something I ever thought would happen to me.
Just to interrupt a moment, I'm just going to change from these number 6s to because I think there's number 6s and number 8s, and I can't quite see very well in this light, so I'm going to leave that bit just so that you know, and I will feed back about how easy those symbols are to see, but at the moment it's just a bit tricky, so
Yes.
Okay, carry on.
Well, I'm wondering because I'm getting to the point that I can't see it all.
Oh, are you? Right,
Yes.
okay.
So should we
Well, you
do
carry on talking.
Okay.
And then, yeah. So,
Spot the person who is not used to doing YouTube videos while diamond painting and does not know the process.
that's okay. So, yeah, we went into the enclosure. Oh, no, we were doing the gates.
We hadn't got there yet.
Oh, sorry. Right, you carry on and I'll be quiet and just carry on. No, carry on.
I'm doing all the talking.
Yeah, I want you to. I am butting in every now and again. So where were you up to?
Well, now I don't know. Yes, I do.
Do you? Okay.
I was bottle feeding a polar bear
Okay.
and getting it slobber all over my hands.
Oh, yes, right.
Yes.
Okay.
So, there's been a bit of this going on, viewers. A bit of the toing and froing, and usually when we're trying to pay for something, and Suzanne's always arguing about the fact that she should be paying and I should be paying, not her. But anyway, I digress. So after we bottle fed the polar bears, we were taken round and shown how the gate system works to make sure they're locked into their house before anybody goes out into their enclosure, and the padlock system that they use, so only one key can actually open those padlocks and nobody else can come along and accidentally let out the bears without realising that there is somebody in their enclosure. So we got to move all the gates, and then we went out into the enclosure to spread out their food and do their enrichment, moving around their toys and cleaning
Picking up their poo.
Yes. Well, who can say that they have picked up a polar bear's poo?
It was actually quite good fun, I have to say. Quite enjoyed it.
Removing all the old meat from the day before so that it didn't get any more gross. That was a little bit gross, I have to say.
A bit maggoty.
So yes, that needs to sort of be removed daily to make sure that there's no health risk from the rotting meat.
I do think we left that bit really up to the ranger a lot, didn't we? We just sort of like, oh, there's some, and got her to do it.
Oh no, I picked up.
Did you pick up
that?
quite a bit?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't.
Gross.
I was just
Well,
like,
the only one that I didn't pick up were those ribs, and I couldn't pick them up; they were too heavy. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, go.
Yes. So we'll just gloss over the not so attractive parts. Talk about you trying to pull a kayak out of a lake.
Yeah. So they have like kayaks in the. It was like a pond, wasn't it? A big pond for the polar bears to sort of play with, and so she was trying to get it out, and she said, "Oh no, we'll leave it because it's a bit waterlogged." And I was like, "No, we won't." So we were heaving this thing out. I think Anthea was waiting for me to fall in because I'm not the most dainty. And
I was holding on to the back of her pants to try and stop her from falling in. Well, she used a pitchfork to try and get the kayak that was sunk at the bottom of the lake up to the surface and into the edge.
Yeah, well, don't want to give in.
No,
Anyway,
no.
I thought it would be funny to be able to watch the polar bears try and do whatever they were going to do with it. Anyway, we managed to get it out, so
We did.
yay.
And the polar bears didn't do anything with it while we were there.
Well,
But
they
that's
were
all right.
watching intently while we were going around the enclosure. They were out into their smaller part of the enclosure, weren't they?
Yes.
And they were watching with beady eyes in where we were going and what we were doing.
They certainly were.
And then you got hold of the ball.
Yes, the younger of the two females has a particular red ball that she's very fond of. So we dragged that out of the lake, and I decided to take it round and put it in a different part of the enclosure, and I could feel her eyes burning holes in my back while I was carrying it off, which is, where are you taking my ball?
Yeah.
So after we'd done all of that, we then got to go back into the bear house and unlock the gates and open them so that they could go out into the enclosure, and we stood on sort of a walkway over the house and watched what they did with the things that we'd left out for them.
Yeah, it was so good, really, really good. And that was only half, really. Well, it was probably a bit more than half, wasn't it, that we spent in there? We spent more time there than with
We
the
definitely
boys.
spent more time there. Yeah, I think we overspent there because we were having such a wonderful time.
Yeah, and so the ranger was like, right, we've got to go really quick now to the boys. So she took us through all of the staff entrances behind the scenes to get to the boys' enclosure.
Yes.
Which was really interesting, actually.
Yeah, and we did get some close-ups there of some of the other animals.
Yeah.
And then the boys were, I think we might have been slightly late, and the boys were ready to be released.
Yeah.
They weren't overly concerned about us being there.
Yeah, and all of the people who were visiting the park were there waiting, weren't they, to let them out, and we were just strolling through the staff gate ready. They must have been thinking, oh, it's you lot that we've been waiting for.
Yes, but that wasn't, it's not up to us to keep it up to time.
No.
It wasn't a problem. I think it was just a bit later than we would normally have gotten there. So we then got to feed 3 of the male bears.
They're huge.
Oh, so huge. 750 kilos of bear. And 10 foot tall when they stand on their back legs?
Yeah. Hamish, 10 or 10 and a half foot tall.
Yeah.
And in the male house, they're either side as well. So we were walking through with massive polar bear one side, and then you would sort of step a little, and then there was another one on the other side. So you were really like, ooh. Yeah, it was amazing.
It was. So there was no, that the enrichment and thing wasn't done there, or all we were doing, we were doing was feeding them with the carrots, pears and apples with the tongs. And we got to see some of the different training that they do again for the vet checks. The keeper got one of them to open his mouth, and then they also have a cage built out from where they sit that fits their head, and they train them to put their head into this cage so they can take x-rays and blood works and check their ears and eyes and that sort of stuff. So we saw one of them doing that.
And that's to avoid them having to tranquilise them all the time when they need to do the checks. So it's a really good thing, because then they're not being, drugged to have those checks. They're doing it of their own accord through the proper training. It's a really good idea.
Yes. Yeah, that was just, wow. It was an amazing experience. So when we finished there, we then wandered we actually had lunch included, which I didn't know. That was part of the day. So we went and had our lunch and wandered the rest of the park.
Yeah, so we saw all sorts. I mean, it was I didn't realise when Anthea then said there is actually polar bears about an hour away from where you live, and I was just like, don't be ridiculous. And then I actually believed her and looked it up. There's so many different animals there, and it's done really well. It's like a natural, they're obviously all caged, but the way they've done it feels, it's not all steel and metal. They've done it in wooden struts and things.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah.
They're obviously not caged. They're in enclosures, but the enclosures are set up in a way that you can easily take photos without there being bars between you and the animals, which is a really nice touch. That you can. You've taken a couple of photos of the lion, and you couldn't tell that it was in a enclosure when you took the photos. So.
And the leopard, he was up on his top perch, would you call it?
Yeah.
Perch.
Platform.
And then when you were up in the viewing area, you could just take a photo of him without any bars, wire, anything between. It was like you were looking at an animal, a predatory animal, without anything in between, but obviously space, so you wouldn't have been able to get to us. It was so safe, but incredible experience. I absolutely loved it, and I'll definitely be going again.
Yes.
Not to do the polar bears, because that was a super special treat, but I'll definitely visit the park again. We saw wallaby, lion, leopard, cheetah.
Meerkats.
Hyenas. Yeah.
Maned wolf.
Oh, yes.
Sea lions. Lions.
It's like...
We didn't see the rhinoceros. They do have one there, but we didn't see him. We saw some,
Giraffe,
yes,
zebra.
zebra, yes, and a unpronounceable form of antelope gazelle thing from Africa.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure which ones they were, but
Monkeys.
yes, lemurs.
All sorts, just so good. And then as we were getting a little bit weary, we were heading back to the gates, and there's some dinosaurs. And I was thinking, you've seen all of these magnificent animals. Why do dinosaurs? Because obviously they weren't real, believe it or not. But it was done so well. They were animatronics.
Yes.
And sounds and music and the
Yeah, so they had sensors, and as you walk past a sensor, the dinosaur would sort of come to life and move its head or its tail and make noises. And
Rah!
that was the T-Rex, yes. Rah! And it was quite well done because it was... Obviously, it would be fantastic for kids, but it looked at the different types of dinosaurs from the different ages. So they had the Jurassic age and then whatever other ages of dinosaurs there were. They linked the dinosaurs to their most modern day
Equivalent.
ancestor or descendant,
Yeah.
descendant.
Oh, yeah, that's a better word. Yeah.
Yes, one of them was linked to a leopard, which I couldn't really see, but... and then they also spoke about it in the information boards for kids about extinction and how these animals were real and now aren't, and that same fate is relevant to animals that they have seen in the zoo today. And I found that to be a really good way of highlighting what faces so many types and breeds of animals in today's world.
Yeah, it was really well done. I really enjoyed that day.
Yes.
And then back to work for me on Thursday.
Oh.
And
My Thursday was a lazy one because Monday, Tuesday...
I wore it right on Wednesday.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday were all enormous days. So Thursday I had a late breakfast and I popped into Harrogate and did a little bit of shopping, mainly for postage boxes to send home all the things I've bought that won't fit in the suitcase.
Mainly key rings. No, not key rings, fridge magnets.
Fridge magnets, tea towels, a throw rug. Oh dear. And then I popped out to Brimham Rocks, which actually was lovely, but I wasn't there for very long because I was just a bit too tired. And then Friday I left Harrogate and popped across to York. I had 2 full days at York, the city of York, which is amazing. I went on the hop-on, hop-off bus and I did a tour of Fairfax House and I went through Clifford's Tower, which is the last remaining tower of the original Norman castle that was built by William the Conqueror in whenever he built it. I think 1069 or something, I think he built that. No, they can't. When was the Battle of Hastings? 1066. Yeah, so I think it was about 69 or 70 he built the first castle there. And I went to the Merchant Adventurers Guild Hall, which is the most extraordinary building. I had lunch at the Shambles, which is brilliant. Unfortunately, I went there on the Friday and it wasn't very busy because when I went past the Shambles again on the Saturday from the bus, it was a heaving mass of humans.
Yeah, it does get very busy in York.
Yeah, so that was my Friday, and then I had a really, really good Italian meal out Friday night. And on the Saturday, I walked the city walls, which is a 3-mile loop, I think.
You're saying it as if I would know. I don't know.
Well, you live right next door.
I know, but I don't know. I don't know.
I think it was maybe 2.5, 3-mile loop. But when you do the whole walls, so the walls that are there, and then the sections where they're not there now. And I walked through the museum gardens and the Dean's Gardens, walked around York Minster. And I ended up going back and having a very late lunch, early dinner at a pub because I was, once again, exhausted. And then Sunday morning, left York early, met Michelle and Suzanne for coffee.
At the service station.
Yes.
And then drove to my house, ready to pack up and come to Whitby, where we're enjoying a week. We're only at the beginning of the week, and that's it. That's where we are.
Yes.
So, it's been pretty full on for you, Anthea. It really has.
It has. It is when you talk about it like that. Sorry, I just seem to have been talking and talking.
No, well, I'm sure everybody will want to have heard your adventures coming. Well, it's not just Yorkshire, it's really the top of the UK from Scotland down to see me. And I'm so pleased to have you here.
Oh, I'm so pleased to be here. And it's just, spending time, actual time with a friend is just,
And we're now going to be able to diamond paint together. We're going to just dip in as and when.
Yes.
So if Anthea gets up before me, or there's no chance really, I'll be up before Anthea, but if I ever was, then, we can just dip in and share this diamond painting together so that when it's complete, I'll be able to pop it on the wall and it will be a lovely memory of our time in Whitby together. So it's just going to feel so special.
Yes.
Well, that's the plan. If it all goes well.
Well, maybe I'll try and finish the moon, and then that I did that tiny bit of this enormous painting.
Especially as, you're into your moons and things, aren't you? So
yes, and blue. Love
and blue. Yes, that is your colour.
Yes.
So, perfect. So thank you so much for joining us today. I really hope that you've enjoyed hearing about Anthea's antics.
Oh, I do hope you have. Please be kind in the comments.
And please do consider subscribing. It is always appreciated, and it is always lovely to have you here because it does feel like you're talking to friends out there. And you've seen lots of people in the comments because you've been watching the channel for ages, so there's a lot of familiar names that pop up, and so we are so grateful. Thank you so much. Until next time, keep sparkling.
Enjoy your own diamond painting.
Bye for now.
Bye.